Alright, hello guys. So, I was rereading Jujutsu Kaisen, and I was reading around when Gojo and Sukuna was fighting around Hollow Purple, and seeing that Yuta considered jumping down into the fight. So, now knowing what we do know, we can actually make an observation like, would this have made a difference? Would things have gotten better? Would things have gotten worse? I think we have enough pieces to the puzzle to know like what could have happened. So, to start with, right, you got to look at the circumstances. So, if you look at just the manga, right, Toto's not with them. So, you have to assume Yuta is either using Mei Mei's brother to teleport down there, using a copy of Mei Mei's brother's technique to teleport down there, which we did never see him. That's they're having to just give him credit that he has it. Assuming he's either copied Boogie Woogie, which is debatable as well. That's people have said due to the Kenjaku stuff that maybe he has, but it's still up in the air because we never seen him use it. Or Mei Mei's brother just teleports Yuta. If it's just Yuta and he teleports him into that fight, and let's say Hikari stops the ice guy from entering the fight like he does normally when Kashima jumps down there, would things have gone better? So if it's just Yuta, he pops his domain, right? All encompassing love. He can aim his curse technique target in this domain, which is pretty rare. Casting Hollow Wicker Basket, or not casting Jacob's Ladder on Sukuna in Megami's body is actually pretty huge since he only has two arms. It would lock him out of using Ten Shadows and Maharaga. Now, would Sukuna resort to this? Probably not. He would probably just eat the Jacob's Ladder attack because you really can't win a fight in that case. Like Goto's probably gonna beat him to the point where he just is dead. He can't fight with no hands, no Maharaga for adaptions, nothing like that. Like he just doesn't have the tools. So my guess is you're looking at a Sukuna at that point that has the World Slash. He just picked up the model from Maharaga. He probably would use that to extend his target. So he would make the target the edge of the domain and use domain and try to break the domain while eating Jacob's Ladder. It's kind of debatable on what would happen in that because if he breaks the domain fast enough, maybe he can get back to his senses. Maybe he can pull Maharaga out again after that and the fight continues. He could also world slash Yuta in that case and try to just kill him and break the domain like he originally does when they fight later. Puts him in a kind of a bad spot in that case. Um, I don't think it changes things for Gojo much because he needs purple to kill Maharaga. He needs purple to do significant damage to Sukuna. If you take Maharaga out and he's still in Megami's body, like maybe you could argue Gojo could do enough damage over time, but I don't think you'd have enough time to even argue that case. And the best case scenario for Yuta in that would be picking up a sword that has curse speech and blocking it. Like they're stopping him from using the world slash by freezing. Now, that's pretty much all he has. Because he can't skybend. That won't stop it because it's skybending essentially has the same properties as Gojo's technique with the invulnerability, and you would just be aiming in that space. So it doesn't matter if you bend it, he would still be overlapping it. It'd still hit you. It still couldn't do anything about it. He would take the world slash regardless. Just like have we seen in the Yuta and the Sukuna fight later. So there's no solution with that. Now, this also changes things later as well because without Yuta later, you can't beat Kenjaku. He wouldn't be pushing the merger into Sukuna, which is hasn't mattered yet as of the recent chapter. But I don't think that would matter power wise, like as of 265. So that doesn't change much. Kenjaku would probably just go into hiding. He can't really do much, even if he were to like Sukuna were to lose and Gojo were to live. They're they're really don't have much of a problem there. It's just Sukuna. But in this case, I don't think. I think things would have went overall worse for them. Now, if you give some benefit of the doubt and either say that Toto was there or that Yuta copied Toto's technique at a time and could jump people into the fight, let's let's talk about the people there, right? Kusakabe doesn't make a difference. Inside the domain, he would probably get one shot by World Slash. He'd just be depressed. I don't think he could teleport Maki because of the. I don't know how that would work with her having restriction stuff and having like a resistance to curse. Maybe it still works if she allows it. Who knows? I think their best bet is to have her wait outside the domain, like they did in the original, like the actual manga with the Sukuna Yuta fight, and see if they could clean up in case he is still alive at the end. Um, Kashima probably wouldn't go. Maybe he would. I don't think it makes a big difference. Um, Chozo doesn't matter. Um, no offense to him, he's just not strong enough to really matter in this case. Higuruma wouldn't matter either because you would need Higuruma to cast his domain first and then get his sword. And if he doesn't have the Executioner's blade, he's kind of not like gonna do much against Sukuna. If you could teleport them down, go through the trial, which you can't consistently get because they're well. If you teleport Itadori down there and you bring the trial back up, maybe he could get the sword and then have Yuta use his domain right after that. But there's a lot of what ifs in that case, so maybe that would be best case scenario to be honest, because then you actually have a chance to catch him with the sword and kill him. Um, but realistically, the most likely thing is bringing Itadori with you. If Itadori can still do the soul punches even before he's awakened, you have to hope he awakens a lot faster this time. But to do more like the dismantles, all that stuff with the soul. But you still have your best chance because as long as you have Jacob's ladder on him and you have Gojo pressuring him and allowing Itadori to hit, you can sever part of the soul, like splitting him from Megami a little bit, decreasing his output, making him weaker, and maybe weak enough that he couldn't use the World Slash. It's not clear if it takes more cursed energy or not, but I assume it would make sense expanding the curse technique target that it is at least a little bit higher level. Like it would cost more cursed energy, maybe, so maybe less control would stop him from using it. A little bit of headcanony, but but that would be probably the best case scenario, and where they would actually be able to stop him then and there if they took at least Itadori and Yuta down there. Now, like I said, the downsides, right? You don't have Yuta killing Kenjaku, copying his technique, bringing Gojo back for that later in the fight, which means Itadori would have probably died inside the domain the second time. I don't think he has any answers to that. Um, you also you're looking at you're looking at a Sukuna with Maharaga, which means he could adapt to the soul slashes eventually, and maybe have some immunity to that. He could adapt to the weapon, the Executioner's blade potentially. I don't know how that would work exactly. I imagine if Maharaga gets hit by it, it wouldn't do any damage to him because it's technically it only kills whoever the main target is, which would be Sukuna. Maybe he could adapt through that process. There's a few other things like him adapting to Kashima would be kind of interesting. I don't know what that would manifest, but you're giving Sukuna the potential to have a endless buff because he can keep stacking these different buffs that he's getting from Maharaga's adapting to people. And it would lead to way more problems. And that's probably the only way you're gonna kill Maharaga because even though Yuta would be a good matchup against him since he has a mix of cursed techniques and he probably isn't. I don't think Maharaga would be adapting to copying. Like maybe he can make it where he couldn't be copied, which that's debatable anyway. But I think he would have to adapt to each technique that has been copied as he gets hit by them. So you wouldn't be dealing with, even though you have these tools, I don't think Yuta would have enough force in any of these tools to one shot Maharaga. But it's just kind of what I was thinking. after rereading. So I thought I'd put my thoughts out there.